Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. Yes, I look like I got into a fight yesterday. No, I did not, and no, I'm not going to talk about it right now because I already did. If you want to find out about my minor fainting episode yesterday, which, by the way, I am 100% okay, cleared by the doctors, I feel great, wouldn't even know I hit my head on anything, except for the fact that I have this gash in the black eye. But if you want all the details on what went down on my Monday, you can check them out right there. But we are not here to talk about me. We are here to talk about one of the best television shows of 2021, and it is a Korean television show over on Netflix that just blew my mind. I had a friend recommend it to me. I have since recommended it to my friends. My friends are all in the process of watching right now, and the reaction from all of us, including the reactions of all the people in the world that have seen this thing thus far, absolutely phenomenal. What am I talking about? Why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat. We are getting ready to dive in, spoiler-free, into Squid Game. And this is like, it's like one of those things, I love this. I watched this probably last Monday, I think, this past Monday. It's not yesterday, but a week from yesterday. I sat down and watched this after a friend of mine who watched it over the weekend was like, yo, have you seen Squid Game? And I was like, no, what is Squid Game? She's like, it's a Korean show on Netflix. It is brilliant. So I binged it all on Monday. I knocked the whole season out. And it was absolutely tremendous. And what's been fun is while I haven't had time to sit down and talk about it, I've been able to see the world start to react to this thing. And it's like, it is a, semi-horror show, although definitely way more drama than horror. Or maybe just an equal balance of both. But nevertheless, it is taking the world by storm. And it's in the top 10 on Netflix. It's been in that 1-2 spot pretty much since it dropped. It's not hard to find whatsoever. And everybody who is slowly starting to come aboard and start watching this thing is loving it. And for such good reason. It's a really, really well done show. Written and produced by Hwang, Dong-hyuk. Wow, man. Like, from a production standpoint, if you look at the image behind me, this is actually a set piece from the movie. The concept, if you're unfamiliar, is there is this organization that goes and finds people who are down on their luck, with serious debts. And they convince these people to come to an invite-only event after, there's like an initiation process. Basically, they find these people and they challenge them to a game where they lose over and over, and when they finally win, they get money, whereas if they lose, they get slapped, and then they get an invitation to the game. And, if you want a chance to win more money, playing, children's games. And that's the thing I really think is dope about this. They're children's games, and they are killer children's games. But, if you want an opportunity to win even crazier money in a competition, come to this, call this number. It'll tell you the place to go. You get picked up. You get gassed so that you're knocked out. You don't know where you are. And then you just wake up in this facility. And the facility is nuts. Like I said, the production value on this thing is through the roof. All of our contestants who you see are numbered. They all have numbers on their shirts, 1 to 456. My man Gi-hun is the last person into the game. So you have all these different numbers. They're all collected in this big ass room that's just got bunks on bunks on bunks on bunks, tons of beds. And then every day you get a game that you have to go play. This shot that we see here is from Red Light, Green Light. That big, giant mechanical machine spins her head. You move forward. She says red light and turns. And if she sees any motion, you are dead. And that's the first big twist of the game is that you either win or you die. And that's where the horror elements come in. But, like I said, you are in this big room. Every day you're invited to a game, and then they take you to one of these types of rooms. And just the path to get to where they're going is like this room that's all these multi-pastel colors and all these stairs that seem to almost kind of like those images or kind of like Harry Potter, where none of the stairs are upside down. You don't have people walking all over, but all those kind of crisscrossy stairs. God, man, this whole thing is huge. And the setup, each game we play, awesome setups. The execution of all of that stuff is really top notch, and what Hwang Dong-hyuk does from a writing standpoint. Like, the reason this show is so successful, while the production value is through the roof, and every room and game you enter is just fascinating and shot beautifully. Like, the technical elements of the show are exquisite. It's the story and the cast that really hook you in, right? Like, it's that initial, whoa, check out what they're doing, and how, like, clearly how you can tell the amount of money that they must be spending to pull this thing off. Like, you see that, but then you start to get to meet our characters, and you start to get into the story. And the thing that I love that Dong-hyuk does with the story is, one, how he talks about the high-level concepts, right? Like, from our main character's perspective, you're talking about how far are you willing to go to get money to get out of debt. I mean, our main character, Seong, who is number 456 right there, he's a chauffeur who loves to gamble, and he lives at home with an elderly sick mother, and he takes money from her that they should be using for, like, food, and goes and gambles it. He's divorced, and he, is struggling to support his daughter, and he's just a guy that's down on his luck, and he's not a great person. And that's kind of what Dong-hyuk does with almost all of our characters. Like, there are definitely characters who are just bad, but for the most part, it's a bunch of people who, on the surface, don't seem to be very good people. Like gambling debts and not smart with money that impacts not just you but your family's lives. But as you spend time with these characters and you go through this entire ordeal with them, you start to not only see how far a person is willing to go for money, but, like, you also start to see that some of these people that don't on the surface seem too good are actually pretty good people deep down. And the biggest of those is Gi-hun, number 456, who's played by Lee Jung-jae, who is phenomenal, man. But I love the character study of every single one of these characters, and we'll go through all of them because it's a pretty big main cast list. But each character is not only dealing with their own personal debt situation and their own personal demons, but you start to see how some of them are good, some of them are just flat out bad, and some of them the game turns good or bad. And that character study is really, really fascinating. And then if you want to go on an even deeper level than that, when you start looking at the overall organization that is responsible for Squid Game, wow, man, there is some really fascinating stuff in there, including, like, what rich people are willing to gamble on themselves and spend money on, and the types of messed up things that you'll watch because you have so much money. Normal things don't suffice, so you'd rather watch something like this. Kind of reminded me of Running Man, to a sense. But, like, as you dive into some of the layers into the organization, like, the organization is shrouded in secret the majority of the show, and we get, like, tidbits because there's a police officer who's also involved in the show who is looking for his brother who got kidnapped by these people, or got taken by these people into Squid Game, and he's never come back. So you're able to kind of slowly start to knock away some of the things about the organization, learn things about it through his part of the story. And as you do, man, there's just, like, fascinating stuff everywhere in here from a story standpoint. So, I mean, I literally cannot praise Hwang Dong-hyuk enough, because the story is really what hooked me and really wants me to see this come back. Like, there is a pathway to a second season. There are also pathways to spin-off shows where you could just kind of do it like an anthology, and I would be here for all of it. And the other thing that really makes this show successful is the cast. I mean, we spend so much time with a very large group, and there is so much on the line right from get-go. I mean, you see that first game of Red Light, Green Light, and you start seeing, like, oh, crap, if you lose, you don't leave. You know what I mean? And, like, as you start to see... Plus, the other thing, too, like, even inside of the net, like, there are people doing their own thing inside of the game for themselves. And all of this stuff is just fascinating. But the cast that we have to spend our time with, and we start to care about people like Gi-hun, it's because those performances, and like I said, the depth to all the characters is really good. As I mentioned, Lee Jung-jae plays Gi-hun, and, you know, he's such an interesting character, and the performance that Jung-jae gives is so strong. It is emotional. You know, like you're gonna get emotional beats for this character that you feel, and the journey that he goes on, the people that he intersects with, and the people that he works with inside of the game, and just how all of it plays out, and where it brings him as a person. Man, was it just so well executed by Jung-jae. I was so impressed, and like, is one of those character performances where the reason I want more of this is because of how strong he is. He is our lead, and while it is a large ensemble cast, Jung-jae really does lead this thing quite well, and his performance for me sets the tone for the show, and everybody else just plays to support and elevate that in the story. Another phenomenal character here and performance, Park Hae-soo, who plays Cho Sang-woo, is a junior to Gi-hun. They grew up together, and he like got out, right? Like, I guess like where they grew up, probably not like a great area, and he got out and went to like the big university, and is in debt because of financial things that he did that are not legal. You know what I mean? And kind of seeing how this person who was the golden child from this town, you know, and again, is somebody that ties you because of Gi-hun, but like is from like set on this pedestal, and when you start to break into his character's fascinating. There are so many levels to Sang-woo, and I love the performance that we get from Hae-soo. We also have Yeong-su, who plays Oh Il-nam. He is an elderly man, so if this is our main guy, that's the guy we just talked about. This guy over here, he's number one. He is the first person entered into the game, and he has a brain tumor, would rather participate in the game than just die slowly outside of it. And he is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And how he plays the game, how he interacts with the group, and specifically with Gi-hun. I just loved everything that he was doing and where the character goes, like what the ultimate outcome for his story was. Really, really cool stuff, and a performance that absolutely knocked it out of the park, man. Like, he plays it so well. Like, there are times where you don't think he is completely coherent. There are times where he just impresses you with the knowledge that he has as an older person, and I really, really enjoyed what Yeong-su did with it. Then you have HoYeon, who plays Kang Sae-byeok, who is this girl here. And she is a North Korean defector who has entered the game to get enough money to broker people finding the rest of her family. Only her and her little brother got out. And her little brother is currently like staying in an orphanage, so that also plays into what she has going on. But what she has done to this point to try to earn money doesn't necessarily make her a great person. So you get this really, really strong performance from Jung that is just, it's fascinating. And how she plays the game and how she's kind of isolated and solo to a degree, even though like she gets brought into groups, and how she plays. I really enjoyed her performance, and again, as someone who brings a lot of emotional weight, because much like Jung, she's someone whose outside life impacts us, where you don't want to see anything happen to her, even though she's got these negatives to her story. And that's the cool thing with all these characters, is the pros and cons to each side kind of bring you to where you end as far as rooting or rooting against these folks. So I thought that Jung did a phenomenal job. Yoo Sung-tae, who plays Jang Deok-su. This guy right here, he is a gangster who has debts because of gangster things. That's why he's there. He's like your main bad guy inside of the players, man. Like, he is, I'll just kill anybody to make sure I get to the end. And how he works inside of the group of people that team up with him, how he interacts with other people, how he interacts specifically with Han Min-yo, who's played by Kim Joo-ryung. Like their relationship and how they play, mostly because Min-yo is, she's crazy. She's batty, man. And she knows how to manipulate people, and how he interacts specifically with her really kind of gets to the root of his character, and the performance is really, really strong. And then Kim Joo-ryung really does an excellent job playing baddie, man. Like, this is a woman who early you're kind of pulling for, then you see, like, because she just is like a no-nonsense bad bitch, you know? And I love that anytime you get that in a character. And then you start to see how she tries to position herself with certain groups and things go wrong, and how she manipulates her way into other groups. And it is one of those characters where, again, she's got pros and cons the whole freaking show, and when you get toward the end of her story, again, there's a little bit of emotional beat where, like, you can feel for that character more, and a lot of that has to do with the performance that you get from Ju-young. And then, lastly, out of our players, Anupam Tripathi, who plays Abdul Ali, which is this guy right back here. He is a Pakistani immigrant. He's come over to Korea. He's trying to provide for his family, and he has a wife and a young daughter, I believe, maybe a young son. And basically, that's just his whole driving factor. And he is like the one person in the game that is good, who just got dealt like a crap hand. Like, he is the most genuinely good person in the game. And watching how he interacts with everybody, but specifically with Sang-woo, just really good stuff. And like I said, the way all of these characters play off of each other and the relationships that are built within the show really elevate and just create interesting performances. And like, there is nobody who falls short in the performance realm, and that's just our main game players. You also have this guy Yoo Sung-joo, who plays Byung-gi, who is a doctor. And there's lots of fascinating things with him, and he kind of plays into some of the extracurriculars that are happening inside of the facility that aren't directly tied to the game. And just that string of the story I thought was so interesting. And you know, Sung-joo is kind of right in the center of all of that, and he brings a really good performance, man. Like, there are moments of a lot of stress and anger and kind of these explosive like moments, and he really nails all that stuff. And then we've got two more characters I want to talk about. We have Byung-hun, who plays the front man. He's really interesting. So the people who run this whole game, you got the front man. He's got this cool mask. Everybody's mask that is connected to the game, but his mask is really cool and very different from everybody else's. Then you have all of like his henchmen. You have the square faces, I believe, or maybe I think that the square faces are kind of like his generals, like the people who are running things inside of the game when he's not there. Then you have these triangles, who are kind of like the soldiers. They're the security guards. And then you have, as you see back here, these circles. They're just kind of like the main henchmen. They don't have weapons. They bring people in and out as they're killed or not killed. They bring them from place to place. And Byung-hun, who plays the front man, is kind of in charge of all of that. And he is our most direct way into the organization, things that are going on. And while he gives a good performance, it's tough to really sell all of it because he is behind a mask the whole time. So the character is more interesting than the performance per se, until you get toward the end of like that piece of the story. Like, when you're wrapping up what's going on with the front man, the person who is playing the front man finally gets the ability to, you know, facially give you some stuff on screen, and he really, really knocks it out of the ballpark. Like, it's one moment, but man, does he hits it hard, man. And I thoroughly like enjoyed what we got from the front man. Like I said, as a character, I'm fascinated. Like, if we can go back to this world, that's someone I want to spend more time with, and hopefully give someone like Byung-hun more time on screen, maybe without his mask. Then we have Ha-joon, who plays Detective Hwang Jun-ho. And he is kind of, like I said, our into the organization, because he's not here to play the game. He is here investigating the disappearance of his brother. And you know, seeing him kind of navigate lets us get into some of the minute details of the organization itself. And he gives you a pretty solid performance, again, specifically toward the end of the story that he is in on. Like, where you get by the end of that character arc in the story allows Ha-joon to really deliver some good like performance stuff. But it's the main cast this crew that's like right here that really are your standouts, and then everybody else that's here just supports very well and elevates. And for the most part, I really don't have anything negative to say about this show. I was fascinated, I was so locked in, and I enjoyed literally every single second that I was watching the show, and I so hope we get to go back to this world, because the world is fascinating. I mean, to turn children's games into like Saw escape room type games, really cool. And the whole concept, like I said, of using children's games and how that plays into the setups and just the deliveries of the execution of the games, there's so much that you could dive into, and just so much. It's just such a big world. I hope that we get to go back to it, because it was absolutely stellar, man. Like, one of my favorite shows of the entire year, if not my favorite. I mean, it's very, very present in my mind, so it might right now be my favorite, but like, it's been a while, probably not since Queen's Gambit, that I locked onto a show and just fell down the wormhole of binging like I did with this show. So, oh man, I tell you, maybe the old bump to the noggin knocked a screw loose or two, because I completely forgot to give this thing a score. So I'm jumping back in real quick to give you a score, and then we'll let the C-Man take us home, so to speak. So let's get the C-Maniacs up. There they are. And as I said, production values through the roof, the set designs, the costume designs, the character concepts, and just the execution of the games and how they function, and visually how you tell that. Superb all the way through. Phenomenal writing and storytelling, both visually and, like I said, in those character studies and just the analysis of individual people and society and just where this all kind of plays in. I thought the story was exquisite, and the performances are just all knockouts, man. Like, they're really led, by a phenomenal lead and a great cast to just kind of support and elevate everything. And at the end of the day, it's a no miss for me, man. There was nothing wrong with this show, and I so desperately want to go back to it. So, surprise, surprise, the old C-Man is giving Squid Game 5 C-Maniacs out of 5. And with that, I'm going to throw it back to the other guy so he can take us home. Take it away, C-Man. I have been talking for an exuberant amount of time. The old head trauma did not limit how I am when I come to talking, but there's just so much good here, and it's one of those shows where you want to call attention to everybody who's involved, from the production side to the performance side to the writing side. Like, it's just one of those things that's executed across the board really, really well. And visually, like I said, from the sets to the character designs, like, everything about the show is cool. So I loved Squid Game, man. One of my favorite things of the year. But now the question is, do you? Have you watched Squid Game? Are you part of the worldwide phenomenon that is this show right now? Is it just captures everybody's attention? It's been one of the cooler things to have had someone who watched it right at the start and gotten into it like right at the start, to now see as everybody else kind of watches it and loves it and starts talking about it. And there's so many interesting things to talk about in this show. I don't know how I didn't do it without spoiling stuff, but like, there's just so much good stuff in here, and it's been cool to see the growing like backing. It reminds me a lot of Parasite, which of course was another Korean piece of media that went on to win all the Oscars, right? And it was the same thing. Like, people got locked onto it because there was easy access for it. It got got some good word of mouth, and now you're just seeing this ball just start rolling downhill. And it's been really fun to watch that. So if you have watched it, where did you get in on that? Did you watch it at the beginning of all this, and much like me, have gotten to watch as people watch it? Or did you pick up on it late and are just like diving in and like, why did I not know about the show the minute it came out? Like, where do you land on that? If you haven't watched the show, have you heard about Squid Game? Are you interested in Squid Game after hearing me talk about it? What is working? Anything for you if you haven't seen it. What would make you want to watch it? What would make you not want to watch it? Anything you got, man. Good, bad, indifferent, but keep it spoiler free on Squid Game goes down below in the comment section. Look forward to talking to you down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the C-Man anytime we're talking movies, TV, trailer reactions, you want to be here to just show a little love and support to this guy and you haven't, come join C-Maniac Nation. It's super easy. All you gotta do is jump over there, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell if you want those alerts. And until next time, for the C-Man's Cinema Sit Down, I've been a slightly beat up but entirely okay C-Man, And I am signing off. Peace.
Oh, hey, what's going on? You must be sticking around because you're looking for more content featuring this guy. Well, guess what? You're in the right place. You can check out more videos right here and right here. And if you have and you want to come join that C-Maniac Nation, you can hit that subscribe right over there.